Well, People Senior Raw's editor, Michelle Tauber, is with us. Michelle, great to see you in the flesh.
Yes, so great to be here. Thank you, Sharon.
We're always Skyping with you all the way in Florida.
We are.
Good to have you here.
Yes, thank you. I left Cinderella at home to tend the castle while I'm here in Orlando. She's back there.
All right, we love it. Well, I've been dying to talk to you all about Harry and Meghan's recent jet setting. Now, first, back on February 6th, the Sussexes made a secret trip to South Beach, where they sat alongside A-Rod and J-Lo at a private JP Morgan event. Then 5 days later, they made another unannounced trip, this time to Stanford University, where they met with professors about their new charitable foundation that they're developing. All right, first off, what are your sources telling you about the Stanford visit? What kind of professors did they meet with? What were they hoping to learn? Do we know?
Yeah, so that visit was done, privately, and then we learned about it after the fact. And what we learned is they were welcomed to the Palo Alto campus by the president of Stanford University himself. And then, we were told that they were there to meet with various people who they could sort of get some brainstorming going with in regard to their Sussex Royal Foundation, which we know is something that they're really focused on right now.
So what can you tell me about the foundation? Do we know what the primary focus of the foundation is going to be, and when's it going to be officially launched?
Yeah, so we have a couple sources, including one connected with all of this, who told us that the foundation is really where they're putting their energy, and they are trying to do their due diligence as much as possible to figure out what does it look like for them moving forward. And one of the things they're really focused on is how can they address, they've seen a lot of the problems going on in the world today, and they're trying to look at the root causes and how can they get to those root causes and help remediate those to improve the lives of people, including, we can expect, I think, to see veterans issues continue to be important to Harry, women's empowerment to Meghan, the environment, conservation. I think we'll see all of those things folded in.
Got it, and getting advice along the way.
Yes.
So let's talk optics and timing. I think when we first heard about the Miami trip, we were all like, okay, that was fast. The new arrangement was only last month, and already they're showing up at a big budget private event. Were they paid? How much were they paid? We're still not sure, but one of the many reasons the news raised a lot of eyebrows was the timing. Conventional wisdom seemed to say that they'd be lying low in Canada for a while, and now with this second trip right on the heels of the first. What do you make of the timing, Michelle? How does this look, and why aren't they lying low as so many of us expected?
Yeah, it did catch us by surprise, and I think, on the one hand, they are lying low in some respects. They're in Canada for most of the time. They've been there. Keeping a low profile, but they're not hermits, and so they've ventured out into the world. I think in terms of optics, I think what was so surprising was once we started to learn, J-Lo and A-Rod were there, as you said, Karlie Kloss was there. I think it was a little surprising that they had sort of jumped into an event that glittery,
very celebrity heavy.
It was, and unlike a palace event, one source pointed out to us, this is really uncharted waters, because at a palace event, you will have palace courtiers, curating every seat. Every single person who's there is vetted, and the seating is carefully positioned. And these kinds of events, they're a little less micromanaged. So it's a different thing, a place to see royals for sure.
Interesting. What do you think we have learned specifically from these two trips? And what does this indicate in terms of the future for Harry and Meghan?
Yeah, I think it tells us a lot, honestly. I think for starters, we can see that, they've got a lot more freedom now to do the kinds of events that, we think that they'd been wanting to do previously, but their hands were tied because of all of the royal rules and regulations and the palace and the firm and all that stuff. So they're free to have dinner with J-Lo and A-Rod at with a bunch of investment bankers.
I like to call them.
That's right. I know. Wouldn't you have loved to be at that table? So I think we can see that they're going to be able to enjoy that freedom and make those decisions for themselves, where they want to be, how they want to spend their time. And I think also it's a hint at sort of the kinds of events where Harry gave a speech, as you know, at that event, sort of speaking about what he'd been through with his mother. And in the past, those types of speeches really would have been done at more charitable places, charity-driven events. And this sort of private function is something they're able to do now that they've Exited.
Yes. Excellent reporting, as always.